Anyway, here we are.
Hi.
Welcome.
It's good to be back. It's good to be in this room. This is great.
Thanks for coming back, and this is your very first review.
I know. I'm very excited. I'm so excited to talk about this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. This was like such a sleepover movie for me as a kid. Like I watched it. I don't know if I was old enough to catch it in theaters, but I remember the DVD being like a mainstay.
Yeah.
It was 1999, so I don't know. I might have been like slightly too young at the time to have seen it. It was like a little more,
Yeah,
I don't know,
probably.
a little more peril than I was used to.
It was
maybe.
made for your demographic at the time, though, which is a topic of discussion.
I mean, eventually it did find me, but yeah, I watched it constantly. I loved this movie, and it's so funny. Like I wasn't a huge Star Trek person when I was younger. I kind of found it later in life with Lower Decks and everything. But this movie was like my first real introduction into like that kind of world.
Right.
And it's the thing making fun of the thing.
That's interesting. We come at this with different perspectives.
Oh yeah, drastically different.
You know, I'm like a year or two older than you.
Yeah, just a year or two. Yeah.
So I did see this in theaters.
Yeah.
And was well into Star Trek at that point. Star Trek was actually like in its death throes at that time. It was
it was like, was it pre?
It was, I think it was pre-Nemesis,
Yeah,
but post.
TNG was on.
No, TNG was over 94. So Generations had come out.
I don't know. Shit.
This is the guy that's on Star Trek. Come on, what the fuck? So 94 TNG ends. That's the same year Generations comes out. 96 is First Contact. I think 98 is Insurrection. And then it was a couple years later, maybe 02, 03, that Nemesis came out.
Okay.
But Insurrection was just sort of like it didn't do well.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, let's try it one more time. And then they did Nemesis, which also flopped, arguably better than the other two.
And then there was kind of nothing until the JJ reboot.
Yeah, I think
right?
Voyager ended in 01, so that was on TV, but you know, it wasn't a super big show. So Star Trek was kind of on the way out, and so here comes Galaxy Quest.
Are we there yet?
I mean, it must have just hit for you, like the exact bullseye,
It
right?
did, but it was the first time, not the first time, but it was just like my antenna went up for that studio interference. When Sigourney Weaver,
even then.
Well, yeah, it was just like Sigourney Weaver drops that very, very obvious F-bomb.
So as a kid, I didn't catch that. I did not catch. Like I was just like, something's a little wrong. My reality has been altered a bit, but you know, I'm having fun.
We'll move on. Yeah.
You know,
just like, what does she say?
She goes, "Well, screw that." That's what you
yeah.
hear, but you see her say, "Well,
Screw that!"
How are we supposed to get through this?
And they did not get any coverage.
Yeah.
There's no over-the-shoulder shots.
Nope.
There's no close-ups of Tim Allen to cover it.
I would argue the joke still works. It is still, like, she's in, that's one of my favorite parts of the movie is her just freaking out and just on the, you know, arguing with Tim Allen about like, well, there shouldn't be all these fucking stupid crushy things in the middle of the ship. It makes no logical
Jokes
sense.
like that are the ones that like work perfectly, and
It's
there's a lot
perfect.
of that.
What is this thing? I mean, it serves no useful purpose for there to be a bunch of choppy, crushy things in the middle of a hallway. No, I mean, we shouldn't have to do this.
And she has a lot of those in the movie too, like where she's, my favorite thing about her character was that on the fictional Galaxy Quest show, you know, her character was written by just a group of men who were just like super sexist, and like her only real job on the ship was repeating what the automated voice of the computer would say.
Look, I have one job on this lousy ship. It's stupid, but I'm gonna do it, okay?
Sure, no problem.
It's stupid, but I'm gonna do it. And she finds herself falling into that role. And what I love is that because, you know, the ship's based off the historical documents of the Galaxy Quest TV show, the ship kind of only listens to her.
It's a perfect premise. It's an amazing premise, and to me it's very frustrating because of. Let me read my
Get your notes
my
out.
intro.
By the way,
line.
have we said that we're talking about? I mean, they'll see it on over there.
Oh yeah, we're talking about
Galaxy Quest.
I said Galaxy Quest is the big movie that sort of could. So
Show your work.
A movie in the end.
Show your work.
A movie that in the end worked, but it's frustrating on how much better it could have been, or possibly how much worse it could have been.
Okay, yeah.
Like I said, we were talking about it last night, where I said it could have gone multiple different directions.
Yes, yeah.
Because clearly it's based on the concept. Oh, and this might blow your mind.
I'm ready.
Ready?
Here we go.
Actually, I don't know if you would have seen this movie. It's the exact same movie as Three Amigos.
I've seen Three Amigos, of course. It is the exact same movie as Three Amigos.
Just a different genre.
Absolutely.
Is this about the gig tomorrow?
Amigos, Hollywood, California.
Just hammer out the details with my
You are very
agent and make sure there's a limo at my house.
We're movie stars.
Movie stars?
Yeah, actors,
Actor.
entertainers. On behalf of the Three Amigos, we're very, very sorry.
God, I am so sorry.
We'd like to go home now.
We gotta prepare the pods for my crew's departure.
What do we have to go back to? You have no jobs, no money, no self-respect.
Oh, wait. Then we could get killed.
Back there, the Three Amigos are already dead. Here, we could be the Three Amigos for real.
I don't know. You're right. Like, this movie could have gone in so many different directions. Should we just call out the most prominent thing first? Was originally this movie was, I think, a lot raunchier.
Yeah.
Than it was supposed. And they cut it down. Well, screw that. Well, fuck that.
Dean Pariseau is the director.
He's the director.
The writer, yeah. The script was not darker, but probably raunchier, more adult.
Yeah.
And then they had a lot of issues casting, like who do we play the lead?
Right.
And they went through a bunch of people, from Kevin Kline to Bruce Willis at one point.
Next.
Yeah, I think they found the perfect guy.
Tim Allen is pretty perfect in it.
I think my favorite thing about like the changes to the script, well, one of them being that originally, I think I said this last night, the movie was going to be about a group of actors who were on like a Star Trek-esque TV show, and then aliens invade Earth, and they're the only ones who can like negotiate with them, and the whole thing was going to take place on Earth. Like, what if William Shatner had to negotiate for the sake of the planet?
Next.
Then, they changed it, and it was going to be a lot more expensive, but they still went with it, of like, it all takes place in space, and they're all on the real ship, and it's all based off of like the show. And then the other big change that I loved, and there's a great like documentary about all this called Never Surrender. Yeah. Originally, that character, Tim Allen's character, was supposed to really resent the fact that he was the captain. Like, he hated being the captain, and now he has to do all these conventions constantly because it's the only way he can really make money. But then there were two writers, one who wrote like the original draft, and then someone else came on, made it in space, and also made it so that he loved being the captain. Like that if he could be the captain again today, he would. He would always choose that. And I think that gives him, that character in particular, such heart, because he would have been just kind of like a sad sack guy you don't really like, if it was the other way around. Well, he is kind of skeevy and, washed up and, a little, he's just constantly drunk and like hungover, but like, you love him.
He's holding on to the past.
Yeah.
Like a guy who was the high school quarterback.
Exactly.
He's Al Bundy.
Yeah.
Al Bundy was the high school quarterback. He always talks about it, his glory days.
Yeah.
The resentful, bitter one is played by Alan Rickman.
But it would have been bad because it would have been like two bitter people. Like the contrast is perfect, and you have Alan Rickman, who's like essentially the Spock.
Yeah.
He played the Spock of the Galaxy Quest TV show, and the two of them have kind of a rivalry, a little bit like they had on the original show.
There's that ego element. He loves himself. He loves attention.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't have worked if he was like bitter and washed up and didn't like that element of it. Because he's the one who kind of like, come on, everybody, don't you want to do this?
He gets everybody on the ship in the first place, on the alien ship. And then Alan Rickman's character is this like, you first meet him and he's just like having a panic attack before he goes on a panel on a convention, and he's just like, I was an actor once, I was doing Shakespeare, and now look at me. And the whole movie, he has this, the character has this prosthetic kind of like fish-like thing on like his head, and like he's an alien, and that's like what his race looks like. And like the whole movie, I guess he's like dressing as, it's like if Leonard Nimoy went to conventions in full Spock, like including the ears. He really doesn't like it. He really doesn't like his life right now.
And that's like we could talk about the conventions now. Because, and you have that scene in the beginning where they're all backstage and they're waiting for Tim Allen to show up.
Yeah.
And so then they're of course they're all wearing their costumes, which I think it happens occasionally.
I've done it.
Yeah.
I did a Star Trek convention where I dressed as, but that was kind of a, I'm part of like a cartoon.
It's a one-off kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's
it was a one-off
every
thing, and
convention,
we just thought it'd be fun because like at that time, no one had ever seen us in like, in costume, So,
but the actors normally,
that doesn't really
especially
happen.
the face prosthetics, like Michael Dorn doesn't show up
TV
dressed
grade
as Worf.
like prosthetics.
But they're kind of like going through probably a conversation that they would have had 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's for the sake of the audience. There's a bit of like, it's like heightened reality almost.
Yeah, and we've opened with just like a little bit from the Galaxy Quest TV show.
Yeah, that's
so
how
we
it starts.
see what they used to be, and then we cut to them now.
Tim Allen has the big mullet.
Yeah, it's great.
But so you establish that, and in reality, like if this were to be more grounded, it almost seems more appropriate to have it be a PG movie. The weird thing is like,
I appreciated it as a kid as a PG movie. Like I think it would have taken a bit of the, I don't know. I don't usually advocate for like less swearing or whatever, but it's just like it feels so timeless without it.
Yeah, it's not so much for me the swearing. It's just sort of like the level of realism between like I said, the heightened reality of them. Like they're actors in real life. Would those actors still be doing conventions dressed in their costumes, or doing like the Circuit City opening the electron? Would they really, or would they have moved off to different roles?
I don't know. I mean,
I could see this as like a 5-season long prestige television series.
Yeah.
Episode 1, Gwen. And then
just focuses on Gwen.
Just focuses on Gwen. The day she leaves the show, she moves on. She goes to a soap opera. She has a troubled marriage, and then blah 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 blah. And then you really like take your time. It's almost too big of a story for 90 minutes.
We didn't know back then, right? We didn't know like everything had to be a movie. Right. If it was a really good idea, it had to be basically told in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And now I think like I would kill for a Galaxy Quest TV show. It wouldn't really be the same without Alan Rickman, obviously, which is like such a tragic loss. But God, it would have been great to see these people. I don't know. I like all of them. They're really interesting to me. All these like kind of failed, washed up actors trying,
It's a great concept.
It's so good, and like how they all grow and their weird arcs. It's just great. They're great characters.
Hey, don't open that! It's an alien planet! Is there air? You don't know!
Seems okay.
Perhaps I'm not as stupid as I am ugly, Commander.
Hey, guys. There's a red thingy moving toward the green thingy.
What?
I think like the linchpin scene, the best scene in the movie is when they're left alone on the bridge for the first time, and Saris is attacking them.
We'll talk about Saris later. I fucking love Saris.
Oh yeah.
What?
That voice, that booming voice.
I'll just get this out now. I to this day, if anyone says in a room, like in conversation, like, can you explain that to me? I will just go, explain to him as if you would a child. Like it is. And if I had spikes in the back of me, they'd pop out. But and all the effects on him are unbelievable. Like all the makeup and practical effects in this movie are just so impressive.
Then tell me, what does it do, this Omega-13?
I don't know what it does.
I think this walks such a good line of like bringing us into, the lives of actors in Hollywood, but it never feels like it's too much about that or satirizing like Hollywood necessarily. Like it's a really good line that they walk.
You have to introduce your general audience to the
exactly.
world. So with the same with the Star Trek conventions. It's not wholly accurate, especially how conventions are now. They're a little more complicated. Well,
this was before cons kind of. I mean, for a while it was like you had Star Trek conventions. I consider kind of some of the OG conventions, period, and they were different beasts back in that day.
Yeah.
Now, like everybody does them, but back then.
Creation Entertainment would do. I would go to those. Man, let me tell you, it was so simple. I have a flyer from one. Go get it, Jay.
Where is it?
You know where my signed Marina Sirtis action figure is, hanging on the wall?
I think so.
Can you go grab it just while we're talking, please, and thank you. Okay, so you'd go there and you show it.
He's really going to get this.
The doors would open at 9 a.m., right?
Yep.
And it would be like a dealer room.
We're hearing Jared upstairs.
There would be like two rooms, the dealer's room and then the stage room.
Okay.
And the dealer room would just have tables of people selling Star Trek junk.
Yeah.
And then you'd go, and to fill the day up, like every half hour would be like some kind of thing. It would be like a Data music video, Geordi music video, and it would be like they play, like Mr. Roboto would play, and they would just show clips of Data.
Whoa!
And then it was, what does everybody think of Data? And everyone would clap, and then they'd go, okay, we'll be back in 30 minutes to see the Geordi music video, and that's all it was.
Wow!
And then 5 o'clock would be like the main event. Whoever was booked, Marina Sirtis or Jonathan Frakes or whoever would come out on stage, and they would just talk and tell a couple stories. Then they would go down off the stage and go sit at a table, and everyone would get in a line and just get a free autograph, one after the other.
They'd be free.
Yeah.
At that time. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was just like that was.
I guess
part
they
of
got
the thing.
paid to appear.
Yeah,
in general.
it was super simple. But
Attention Star Trek fans. The famous Creation Star Trek convention beams into the Chicago area on June 19th and 20th at the South Expo Center in Harvey with Armin Sherman, Quark of Deep Space Nine in person. There's Trek dealers, events, presentations on the next generation and Deep Space Nine, news on Star Trek 7, and more. The Star Trek Convention, June 19th and 20th at the South Expo Center in Harvey. Tickets $7 plus service charges at Ticketmaster or $10 at the door.
And the way that it's portrayed in Galaxy Quest is pretty much spot on.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they do the big panel, essentially. They basically just get like introed,
There's a weird moment where Tim Allen takes the mic and he's about to talk and they cut his mic. I never really got that. And he's like, oh.
Never give up. Never surrender. Damn the resonance cannons in full speed ahead.
The commander and his crew will be signing autographs on Imperial Decks C and B near the poker machine.
I'm wondering if there's a longer segment where he was rambling on about something.
Yeah, he goes. All he really does is say his catchphrase, and then he's about to say something else.
And he's like, "Why'd you cut my mic?" And then the scene goes. There's a lot of I don't know if you the limo part. Do you know that we've procured a limo?
That is maybe one of my favorite moments in the movie is when Missy Pyle screams.
Oh yeah.
It's please cut to it right now.
Okie dokie.
it's like the perfect timing, and she's so funny in this movie.
She's great in it.
And like also like Rainn Wilson's in that car. It's like just a parade of incredible people, sometimes in very small roles.
Yeah. It's one of those movies where you're just like, oh, they're in that.
Yeah.
The Justin Long has a
Justin Long, oh my God, he's
fresh-faced Justin Long.
Him just going, like, what's your name? And he just goes, Brandon? Like it's like when he has a question mark.
Brandon?
I love his character. I think makes the whole thing work.
It's on the wall on the stairs. I was looking on the stairs. I didn't see it. Screw you. Oh, but I was going to say the limo part's great. Because, but in the original cut, like when the studio was shown it, Tim Allen falls asleep in the limo, and then it fades to black, and he wakes up on the ship. And then it's like, well, is this a dream or is this reality? And they're like, well, the little kids aren't going to understand that, so let's have the limo itself get beamed up, so it's really like on the nose.
I think they could have totally cut to black and then cut to him on the spaceship, and then
that's
I don't think that was giving the audience enough credit.
Right.
I don't mind it, but it is a slightly like.
It makes it a little more kiddie.
It is a slightly odd. I mean, then they add the like dog coming into frame and like barking up at the thing, and like that's like the one slightly kiddie moment.
It's just
of it
that
all.
it's such a great movie. But I can feel those like the.
You can feel the meddling.
The meddling.
Yeah.
And it was like meddling in its infancy. Because '99, so many great movies came out that year.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night.
And they're all movies like, the Wachowskis with The Matrix, Fight Club, even Phantom Menace. They're all like singular vision filmmaker movies.
Yeah.
And like that's the way it's supposed to be. And this one, when I saw it, things didn't quite add up. It works as a PG movie, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they had to they made the decision to scale it back from PG-13. Because we could talk about Tony Shalhoub's character, because that's a big.
Yeah, so I watched the movie a lot, and then when I watched it as an adult, I was like, is Tony Shalhoub's character supposed to be Asian? Like that was the kind of thing. Okay, maybe that's not what you were gonna say, but I think I was really watching it this time because his name is Tech Sergeant Chen. That's his character's name. And then I think if you look closely in like the original Galaxy Quest footage, he has some kind of slightly offensive makeup going on.
I noticed that. I was super confused because he always has the Spock eyebrows. And then
Yeah, and I think maybe the backstory with that character is that, because there's a moment in the movie where he's like, my name's Fred, it's Fred Kwan. It's not even, my real last name's not even Kwan. So I think maybe his backstory is he's an actor pretending to be another race in order to get roles.
I think you're right.
And now he's just aged.
And that ties in with my thoughts as well.
Yeah.
I think I remember hearing or reading that he was based on David Carradine. And also, David Carradine was supposedly stoned the whole time he was filming Kung Fu.
There we go. Yeah, that's the other thing with Tony Shalhoub is he is high constantly.
And that's
the whole movie.
Listen, they're telling me the generators won't take it.
And he's great in the movie. Some of his little you just cut to his face doing this
it's
insane
hilarious.
reaction.
When he arrives on the ship and he just goes, that was a hell of a thing.
Yeah, everyone else is shaking from the trauma of hurling through space at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and then he just immediately lands and just goes, that was a hell of a thing. Oh yeah, and then he turns around and goes, what's wrong with them?
That was a hell of a thing. What's wrong with them? I don't know. Come on.
Yeah. Because he's stoned. And then in the engine room,
he's stoned.
They call him in the engine. He's like, so there's a problem with the thing, something.
Yeah.
Like that. It's just great.
It's so good.
But I noticed that something else that was cut. There's two things I noticed. When he beams aboard, he has a brown paper bag. Big brown paper bag.
Oh, I haven't noticed that.
You only see it in the shot when they're walking down the hallway. When they're on the spaceport before they get on the ship.
Yeah.
He has a big bag with him. Then towards the end, there's.
So he brought his drugs.
I think he was just holding his drugs. I think he says there's snacks or something.
I just had this really interesting idea. Are you stoned?
In the beginning, he's he's like struggling to open one of those tins of cookies. He can't get the plastic off, and he's just like...
He's stoned in every scene, I think.
Yeah.
He just brought a bag in one day, and he's like, I think he's in here. I think my character's in here. And he comes in with that bag. Just that greasy bag. You don't know what's in there. Maybe some cheese or something. He's just carrying around that bag. Suddenly he found his character. He found his character through that bag.
The documentary Never Surrender. It was very good, and it was very fun to hear everyone's stories and stuff. But it was like a love letter to the movie and to the fans.
Yeah,
and stuff.
sure.
But it didn't really get too into like the nitty gritty. Because I noticed there's one shot, and it's before they all get like exploded. I think the rock monster blows through the room.
Wait a minute. Are we talking about? Oh yes, the rock monster gets beamed in that room. I have a question about that scene.
Yes.
Later, you may be about to say it. So
the one guy is holding a joint.
Yeah.
And there's like playing cards on the floor.
Yeah, they're playing human poker, seemingly like human playing cards. So that must have just been Fred's bag, right? Is that what you're saying? Because I didn't put that together.
I'm
think you might
thinking
be
of
right.
like character arcs, like.
Because that might have been, you're right, that might have been a cut scene where they were like digging into his,
Or because Fred doesn't really have a super strong arc.
A lot of his scenes were cut, I think, for probably that reason of like, maybe it was a lot of like drug jokes.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Is like, oh, I can distract the henchmen in the room. Let me do it. Hey guys, you ever try,
I think if it had been a slightly more adult movie, I just don't think I would have had the same love for it. Like there's something... Yeah, and it kind of bombed on release, right?
They said it did okay.
Did okay.
Yeah.
But I think it really found its audience later in its like lifespan, and I think it's a lot of people like us who like just like bought the DVD and like kept that alive. And I think because it got me at like a younger age, I think that movie's just been with me forever. And I think it wouldn't have really gotten to me had it been. So I'm like selfishly very thankful that it's a PG movie.
We are not the people you think we are.
I don't understand.
But it really is like surprising how it's just in like the corners of the frame, like the bag or like the playing cards. Like I didn't notice the playing cards or the joint until like I rewatched it like this time, like a week ago, to prep for this.
I'm glad they actually cut the Sigourney Weaver boob scene, because at some point her shirt's like halfway open. I'm like, why did this happen? But that whole like that's the culmination of her character. She uses her feminine wiles to lure the bad guys so they crush them with the door, and like that's her character, and that's a very 90s like sad.
It would also kind of go against their whole kind of satire of like women's roles in shows like that. You know what I mean? Like they would kind of become the thing that they're making fun of if they did, if they kept that scene in.
It defeated its own purpose. It would have been like, in real life, Gwen, who was an actress, was also, say she was like very good at math. And she's like, we cannot do this calculation. And she comes in and goes, wait a minute, I can do this. Something where she uses her talents or brains. But so that's why I'm glad they cut the boob thing.
No one ever takes me seriously. Well, now how you feeling, huh? Do you take me seriously now?
Hey, come on.
I just want to shout out how fucking funny Sigourney Weaver is in this movie. Like, the absolute comedic chops on display from her in this movie are
She
just, like,
has my favorite
unbelievable
laugh out loud line, and it's delivered so great. It's what's his face? Sam Rockwell. He's basically like the red shirt.
Yeah. Oh, we have to talk about. Okay, we'll get to that. But yeah,
he's complaining the whole time, like, oh my god, I'm gonna get killed. I'm gonna get killed.
Yeah, on the planet, right?
On the planet.
Is there air? You don't know.
Nobody knows. You know why? Because my character isn't important enough for a last name. Because I'm gonna die 5 minutes in.
He knows he's the red shirt because that was his role. And then when they see those little goblins, Sigourney Weaver goes, "Let's get out of here before one of them kills Guy." Kills Guy. And it's like it was just so perfect.
Let's get out of here before one of those things kills Guy.
Wait a minute.
I think my favorite scene of the movie, like the most heartwarming or heart-wrenching scene, is when Mathazar's getting tortured and he has to essentially cop to the fact that he's an actor, and he has to explain what an actor. Explain to him as if you were a child. Like he's very, very good in that scene, and it makes me a little teary-eyed every time. Just like how innocent Mathazar and all these aliens are. Like they did a really good job of making, him very sympathetic in that scene, but also it was such a inspired choice to make all of the Thermians like essentially children. Like they're just very like, they believe in the good of everyone. I guess we should switch to talking about, like, Tim Allen's great, but I would also love to talk about...
I must speak to you. It is a matter of supreme importance. We are Thermians from the Klaatu Nebula, and we need your help.
Oh, Enrico Colantino.
Colantino?
You could call him Keith Mars.
Keith Mars, yes.
Because I can never pronounce his last name. I've heard it a bunch, but he's great.
But the fact that, and the documentary gets into this, is the fact that he came in to audition for Mathazar. And he did it. It was, it was great, whatever. And then he was about to leave, and then he was like, can I just do that again and try something? And I guess it was some sort of vocal warm-up that he learned in acting class, where like, he's using the resonance of the voice.
And I must say that standing here in your presence is the greatest honor we could ever have hoped to achieve in our lifetimes.
They didn't tell him that he had the role yet, but then everyone else that came in to audition for the other Thermians, they were like, can you do it like this? So he essentially not only originated Mathazar, but like set the tone for how all of these aliens talk and walk and like the clapping and like all the little physical things that make them seem genuinely from another planet and so endearing and so like all the way they laugh and like it's just so good.
Would you guys look for another shoe? Looks like this, please. Oh. You will go out there.
I won't, and nothing you say will make me.
The show must go on.
The entire movie, one of the first things he says is, I'm not going out there. He's having a panic attack in the green room before the convention panel, and he says, I'm gonna go out there and I'm not gonna say that stupid line one more time, because his character, Dr. Lazarus, has a catchphrase like live long and prosper that is by Grapthar's hammer.
By Grapthar's hammer.
By the sons of Warvan.
By the sons of Warvan, I shall avenge you.
And he gets up there on the stage and he doesn't say it. He does the the Maktar, I guess is the name of the race. He does that thing and he bows. He doesn't say it, but there's a screen in the back of him that says the line like it's it's a recording of an old episode. He just rolls his eyes.
His expressions are great.
Yeah, and then the next time he says it at the opening of that Honda dealership or whatever.
It's an electronics store.
Electronics store, yeah.
By Grabthar's hammer. What a savings.
Can you do
an Alan Rickman?
Yeah.
Not well.
He has such a strange voice.
By Grabthar's hammer. What a savings. It's not great.
What a savings.
Anyway, so Alan Rickman, he's he hates this role. He used to be like a classically trained actor who was respected, and now he's just doing these fucking conventions and he hates it. And then he kind of develops this bond with one of the Thermians named Quillick.
I think that's right.
Yeah, Quillick. He's just being he resents the fact that, now he's on the ship and everything's real, and they've based everything based off of the characters from the show. So there's a great deleted scene where he goes into his quarters on the ship, and they're like, we based it off of your race and how you lived on the show, and his bed is just spikes that come up. And his toilet is this crazy machine that's full of tubes, and it's just it's based off your anatomy. And he's just not having a good time. Oh yeah, when they're eating food, he's eating bugs and shit that.
The quarter scene is supplemented by the bug scene.
It's better. It's a quicker version of that. Then at the end, when everyone's coming together, Quillick, they set it up earlier with Quillick being by Grapthar's hammer, I shall avenge you. And Alan Rickman's like, don't do that. Don't do that at all.
He's fanboying.
He's fanboying, essentially. And he thinks it's real. And Alan Rickman is like, do not say that line in front of me.
Off.
Fuck you. And then Quillick gets shot and is dying in the third act. And Alan Rickman, it's one of the best performances I've ever seen him do. Like him, I'm getting emotional talking about like him genuinely saying that line to him.
Quillick, by Grabthar's hammer, by the sons of Warvan, you shall be avenged.
To like make his death worthwhile. It's like great.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. He's not acting.
Yeah.
Which is the irony.
He means it for the first time.
I was expecting his like arc to be he's this fantastic actor. So we need a moment where he has to come on the bridge and do this performance to distract the bad guy. Yeah. There is a scene like that in the deleted.
In the deleted scenes, which I saw,
which is good.
Like, it's good, but
it's not a quality emotional arc for his character. It's just sort of like a thing.
A thing he can do.
A thing that he could do. He method X being a rock
being
to kind
rock.
of
the vibrations. I must destroy the vibrations.
Do you know the rock monster story?
I know of it. Wait, no, I don't know the rock monster story.
It is. We talked about it on our Star Trek V commentary track. This is another little nugget that there's a lot of Shatner jabs.
Oh yeah.
No. Like when
he's rolling.
Well, his shirt coming off, of course.
Yeah, his shirt coming off.
Him in the bathroom stall, overhearing the kids making fun of him.
Yeah,
it was
which
a real
also
life.
I think is a little bit of a, there's something in the corner, something was cut.
That really happened to William Shatner.
Right, but in that scene, it's weird. It's all clearly like not recorded on the day to me, because it's like you kind of see like people come in, it's slightly awkwardly cut, where I'm like, something was maybe cut from here.
What a freak show, man. Oh, this is hilarious. Bunch of losers. Begging for autographs at $15 a pop. These guys haven't had a real acting job for 20 years.
But the rock monster, Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, when they're getting the transporter to work and they're on the planet and the angry gods like running amok, and the transporter kind of barely works, so they're only able to beam off Bones and Spock.
Mm-hmm.
So Shatner stays behind. The same thing happens in Galaxy Quest when they can't. They have the what is it called? The
shuttle.
No, what's the big orb?
The beryllium sphere.
Beryllium sphere. They can't fit everybody on the shuttle.
Yeah.
In Star Trek V, Shatner wanted to fight a rock monster while he was running around on that planet.
I didn't know this.
And they're like, we don't have the budget for that. We got to finish this movie.
Whoa.
And he's like, I must fight a rock monster. No, Bill. There's no budget for that. So the thing just shoots lasers at him, and he just runs around in the desert.
Yeah.
So Tim Allen getting to fight the rock monster is sort
There
of
you go.
like
That's cool.
To you, William Shatner.
Oh, darn. That's also one of my favorite sequences is the movie is like they essentially go on an away mission to get a new beryllium sphere after their
gotta have the away mission.
Out. But what would you say?
You gotta have the away
mission.
mission.
I thought you were like, not an away mission technically. I'm like, what the fuck?
What did I say wrong?
What did I do? No, but it's great. Like Tim Allen, like dive rolling everywhere, like Shatner in Arena. Is that the episode with the Gorn? Yeah, like him taking his shirt off for whatever reason.
Which is weird because I always thought they filmed Galaxy Quest at Vasquez Rocks.
I thought so too, but
I have
no,
this vision
it
in
just
my head.
wasn't. It was somewhere. Where was it? It was somewhere.
Is it Idaho or
somewhere
Utah?
like I think it might have been Utah.
Goblin National Park, Utah.
Is that a real name?
It's
of
the
thing?
real name.
That's cool.
It has these weird rock formations that look like goblins.
Welcome to Goblin National Park.
And I guess like you can't get there. It's like remote. Like,
okay.
You can't just like there's.
Because
no
that's where all
road.
the goblins live.
That's where
those little creatures in the movie are real.
They
were not
they're
CGI.
real life goblins. The visual effects, it's ILM and Stan Winston's monsters. It's like so packed with so much stuff, but at the same time, it feels like it's missing.
What do you think it's missing? Like if you had to put, I mean, Sigourney Weaver having more of an arc, I'd say, but if you had to put something in, like a scene in that you think is missing, what would it be?
I think the weird thing is that it's a fun adventure movie for kids, because that's what they turned it into, and adults. I mean, it works for everybody. But I think kids wouldn't get a lot of the Star Trek references.
Sure.
And then I think a lot of, like, I really
It's funny though, I didn't watch Star Trek before I watched this, and I think I just knew what Star Trek was.
Yeah, I mean,
and therefore I got it. It still kind of like hit every,
I think some of the, for me personally, some of the gags that worked was the oh fuck no, when they go down and there's the hallway of these giant pistons that are hitting each other for no reason.
No reason at all.
Because it's a TV show and that looks neat on the TV show.
Yeah.
Or in the cutscene when he's like, we didn't have information about the toilets.
Yeah.
Because that's something you never see on Star Trek. That's a gag.
Right. They
There's
never
no
see
toilets.
the bathroom. Yeah.
So it's like, it would have been fun, like, if the ship, there's more jokes like that, where it's like you go around the corner and there's just a wall there because
you would never know. Yeah.
So the
because they
toilet
modeled the
gags
entire ship based off of what they've seen from the show.
Yeah, they had like the mute gag was good, the view screen gag, toilet. But your question to me is a good one because I can't answer it.
Because to me, I'm like, I think it's because I saw it when I was a little bit younger. I was just like, oh, it's perfect. Yeah. And still, I'm like, it's just like clean, and it's just really, it's concise and just hits the joke and hits the heart. And
Gets in and out.
It gets in and out.
Another important part is like they have that moment where they're going to abandon the Thermians, and then they realize that they're the last of their race.
Well, crank this sucker up. You can drop us off, and you guys can be back in your home planet before supper.
We are all that is left.
I didn't know that.
And it is good that ultimately, I forgot at the very end, it ends with like they've gotten a reboot of the show.
They have their
they're
Galaxy
all
Quest, the next generation,
working
basically.
again, and they get rewarded for doing the right thing. So I mean, it is like it's solid in terms of the script. Yeah. I don't know. It's like, but it's the tone to me. Ooh, right in the middle. It's perfect as a PG. I wouldn't want more. I don't want more swears. I don't want stoner humor.
Yeah,
I don't like that
more
stuff.
like adult humor.
But just maybe
more TV, kind of like playing off the TV stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe like the translation. The aliens have built a ship from the TV sets and the TV logic. Maybe you could have squeezed a dozen or so more gags with that.
I do love the idea of like they just run into a room and it's just a blank wall that they didn't know what to do because I also just want to call out the fact that I believe Guy, Sam Rockwell's character, he gets a role on the reboot, and you reminded me of this. His
name.
His role is like, first of all, you hear his last name. You see his last name for the first time. It's like Guy Fleegman, and his character name is like Security Chief Rock Angersall, and he just like gives a little wink to the camera. It's like the last shot in the movie before they cut to the ship leaving frame, and it's so good. Oh, and Missy Pyle's there too.
Oh yeah.
Because her and Fred she's just like staying with him on Earth.
Whoa.
It's great.
I hope that although he's into the tentacles.
He's into the tentacles. Oh, we should talk about that.
I was going to
the fact
say,
that the
I hope
Thermians are actually like squid people, but they're using like appearance generators. The one thing when I was a kid, the one like little like thing I always wondered was like, okay, is it just changing their appearance? So are they still, like, do their tentacles and like the width of their bodies, does that still exist, but it's just invisible? You know what I mean? Like, or do they literally transform?
Very good question.
I don't know.
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 Because when he's smooching on Missy Pyle, her tentacles come out.
Yeah, so they can kind of deploy those at will as well, but it's...
It must be some kind of matter convergent generator. That,
something.
Not so much like a cloak, but it changes the molecular structure maybe.
Right.
But although they like glitch out when they're getting zapped, remember? They
glitch
out.
Which is such a cool effect. And like those, that's Stan Winston? All those like practical stuff?
I think all the effects are Stan Winston.
It's so good, the squid people, like the squid
I thought they were CGI for a second when they were walking. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, those are practical puppets.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming. Behind me, you can barely make out my colleagues, and let me not waste an instant and introduce them. George Takei.
Well, hello. Good to be here.
Nichelle Nichols.
My pleasure, Admiral, Captain.
And the gentleman who plays Chekhov.
Walter Koenig.
I want to say, that might just be rumor, but I want to say they did originally think of the cast. I'm sure William Shatner wouldn't never want anything to do with it. I would never portray myself.
Yeah,
like, you know, it would be his egos, and then it would like be this weird thing where they're real life. I
think it's too much to think about. I think it could have worked as like essentially like an SNL sketch if they did that, like that premise, but as an SNL sketch. But I think it's so good it's a little bit outside of Star Trek. It's not.
We never do quite know if Star Trek exists in this canon, in this universe.
Oh,
they never mention it.
Like if Galaxy Quest in this universe is the slightly more popular space show?
Or less popular, I don't know.
Yeah.
Although there is an extra in the convention scene that goes like this, and he does the Vulcan salute. I don't even think he knew
I
what
think
movie
that guy
it was
just
in.
didn't know the premise.
Yeah.
He didn't do his research.
He's like, what are we filming? We didn't talk about, well, the nerds,
I want to talk about Justin Long.
Yeah, how he's got the map of the ship and all that.
I think that Justin Long's character is kind of what really makes this movie work, because he's a fan. He is a Star Trek fan who gets the ultimate quest. And he's kind of living out like a nerd's fantasy. And it's so interesting that this movie came out in 1999, and this is kind of, this is before like the nerd kind of culture became the mainstream culture, and for his character, who kind of represents that kind of con fan culture, to be such a hero in this moment must have been just such a huge moment, I think. I don't know, and I think he plays it so well. I love that he has to he's instructing Tim Allen's character on how to get to the bowels of the ship, but he has to leave halfway through to take out the garbage, and his parents are worried about him, There was a time where being a nerd, quote unquote, was considered uncool, and he embodied that so well.
And now it's been co-opted by all the cool kids.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
It's a shame.
It's a shame.
But yeah.
Here's one thing that bugged me about this movie.
Yeah,
Let me tell you.
Tell me. Tell me, Mike.
This is how much of a nerd I am. I absolutely hated how everyone said on episode 36.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, no one says that.
Yeah.
They say, remember on Best of Both Worlds?
Oh, yeah, you
or
say the title, yeah.
The Corbinite Maneuver.
Yeah.
You say that, you don't say episode 42.
Yeah.
What the fuck says that? Get out of here with
You're
your
right, this movie's trash.
It's trash.
It's fucking trash.
And Mark is not a speed. It's a direction.
Saracen ship accelerating toward us at Mark 2.
Accelerate to Mark 4.
I didn't know that.
It's like what is it, the fucking Star Wars run, the Kessel Run.
Yeah.
The Kessel Run, and
it's distance, not time.
Yeah.
Parsecs.
Parsecs.
Is
12
distance.
parsecs. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a distance. So he was like, we're up to Mach is a speed, but they kept saying Mark.
Mark.
I think that's their term for warp.
Do we go to Mark 2, Lieutenant? Yeah.
Fucking fantastic movie.
It's so good. It's one of the great joys of my life is to, if anyone has never seen it, and I watch it with them, it's the best. It's just seeing their reaction to everything. And
oh, that's not right. No.
More often than not, their response is also how the fuck have I never seen this before? Or heard of it?
What?
Which is weird that some people, I don't know. I just love it so much, and
It is weird. It comes off because if you've never seen it or you don't know the premise, it just looks like a generic Tim Allen PG space movie. But it has that
the
layer.
poster doesn't quite do it justice. Yeah.
It's in the font of the show, but they don't know the level of meta that it is. It's a movie about actors being thrown into the real life situation.
The poster may have a tagline that's kind of like a comedy that's out of this world. Like it may have something like that in the tagline, yeah.
So there's two, this is very minor, but it's within this topic. The poster is Sigourney Weaver, I think, in the middle.
In the middle, yeah.
And Tim Allen and Alan Rickman on the right and left, and they both have their guns out, their phasers, and they're both
Tim Allen and Alan Rickman.
Yeah, and they're both shooting their phasers to the right and left on the poster. But on the DVD menu, there's an alternate from probably that same photo shoot where Tim Allen is holding the gun and Alan Rickman is holding his gun, but it's backwards. Like he's going to shoot himself because they don't know what they're doing.
Okay, that's
those two images are very telling because one just evokes like action and adventure, and one evokes more comedy.
Yeah.
Because you can clearly tell that Alan Rickman's holding the phaser
That's
backwards.
crazy. He's just he's holding it backwards. He's not like aiming it at his head.
He's not doing this.
Okay.
No. He's just like this.
Because I'm like, that's crazy goofy.
Because it's like, you know the Star Trek phaser. It's kind of like...
Yeah, it's a lightly, you don't necessarily,
so he's
on first glance, know.
Yeah, he's pointing it, but he's clearly pointing it backwards.
Yeah, okay.
And so I'm like, that's the tone.
Yeah.
That's the tone. And the other one is more like space adventure movie. And so if you're not in the know...
If you're not in the know, then it's really good though. Watch it. Just watch it right now.
Watch it. Go
it's
watch
so
it.
good.
It's coming out on 4K.
It is.
In December, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And I'm all about a Galaxy Quest 10-season long prestige television show on HBO Max.
Let's do it.
Directed by the guy who did Chernobyl.
I would kill for that. It's like, that would be so good.
Episode 2, Fred.
Fred. Yeah, every episode is
the whole season. We get recaps on what every character's been up to for the last
since the original
15
series.
Years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You flash to like what they're doing now on like the real spaceship, and you kind of get a little backstory.
You occasionally cut to the Thermian homeworld being invaded slowly by the
by you're not even going to attempt his name anymore. You're just going to do a noise.
Tell it to him.
Explain to him.
As if you were the child.
Who did that voice?
I don't know. Whoever they are, they're a fucking genius.
That's good. That's
Should we look that up right now?
Yeah.
Shut that name out?
We've been giving this man props.
Cut to something fun.
Deliver the device to me, or I will destroy your ship.
My favorite part of the deleted scenes is they don't, like if you watch the deleted scenes, is they clearly haven't like overdubbed the aliens.
You know, this one is strangely attractive.
Yeah, like the people in the heavy makeup, so you can like hear the like they're like like they can't really talk through the thing because they haven't overdubbed it yet.
When they're ogling Sigourney Weaver's rubber breasts.
Yeah, I watched that scene. I was like, this is just not. Oh, that's not right. I was like, this is just not the tone of this movie.
Come here, big boy. It's just something.
Something.
It's like, you guys want to see if you could handle me?
Okay, you really think you can handle me?
When?
Well, okay.
When?
Come on, give it to me.
No. There's that other great scene with Tim Allen and Alan Rickman where they like pretend to have a fight.
You're starting to act like you did in episode 17. You scene-stealing hack.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to like punch the guards out. And what I love about it is that like in this scene, it's kind of a role reversal where like Alan Rickman actually, his character isn't doing a really good job acting in that situation. Like he goes like, oh, right. It's like when he catches on. Like it's a really good like third act kind of role reversal where like he's Jason Nesmith, Tim Allen's character, is more committed than Alan Rickman's, and it's really, really good.
Actor who's playing an actor who's acting.
Yeah.
So many lovely
layers.
So many layers of meta.
So good. I also love that, just a little detail, the only time you ever see Alan Rickman's hair is in the third act. Just one little tuft of it.
I was going to ask about that.
Pokes out of the prosthetic.
There's one shot, Sigourney Weaver's on the phone, because Tim Allen has the flip out at the convention where he yells at the kids. He yells at Justin Long.
Oh yeah, he's
Sigourney
like really mean to
Weaver's
Justin Long.
living in like a very nice house, and she calls Alan Rickman. She's like, I've never seen Jason freak out like that. And you cut to Alan Rickman's apartment. It's like this scummy dump. Did he still have his prosthetic on?
I think he either that, which is weird.
It would be weird if he's still wearing it.
Or I think maybe he had like some sort of like shower cap
like a hat,
thing, or like some sort of something.
I will find out.
Because you're right. Like I'm like, oh wait. Do we see his hair in there?
I can't remember. I just remember looking at his like apartment, and it's like this dingy.
Like he's not doing good. Right. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not the only time you see his hair. But I just remember it so vividly because he's a little beat up, so the prosthetic.
I love when the prosthetic starts falling apart.
And then just the fucking one little thing of hair just poking through it. It's so good.
Yeah. So, Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest.
Rich, do you love Galaxy Quest? I never asked you.
Can this just be the review?
Yeah, sure.
Can you guys just cut everything that we talked
Rich
about?
gives it 2 stars.
And just
check it out. It's a pretty good movie.
Watch the film as if you were a child.